You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
That's on the wrong screen.
Oh, that's awesome. Hello and welcome to the Mushie Moment with myself and my awesome co-host, Rev Cindy. We're live today on Tuesday, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. What do we call them? Happy Hallmark Holidays. On paceradio.net, CBG TV, and we stream everywhere.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Oh, it was funny that we were playing with the squares and then
And then it comes up wrong. Oops. Sorry. We were playing with some technical stuff before the show, and I forgot to go click the right button before we came back.
It's
one of those days.
Yeah.
But I have a very large mushroom blanket sewn into the shape of a hoodie, so what can be wrong?
Oh, what did you say it was called though? It's an
oodie.
Oodie.
Oodie. It's an oodie. They have a mushroom pattern, and I had to own it. So I do. Silly things that I get excited about, but there we go.
Yeah, but at least you're keeping warm. Because I heard you got some beard and snow.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, it's luckily this front that is coming up, they thought it was going to come up and quite literally, like this last front, go right over us. And the last one, of course, came up, went over us, did a U-turn, and went over us again, which is why we had 3 days of flipping snow. But thankfully, this one has veered off a little bit to the east and is heading out to the Atlantic Ocean a bit more. So our 40 inches of snow have gone down to about 10, maybe 15. Not inches, centimeters.
And when we have 10 centimeters here, hoo-wee, it's a nightmare. 10 centimeters.
Yeah, and right now we're still sitting on probably 1.5 feet of snow that fell the other day. A lot of it's melted. But a week and a half ago, we had that, bad storm that trapped us all in our homes for a weekend. And we're still kind of, Cape Breton, I think, is still digging out from that. And we're about to get hit with more. I feel bad for them.
Oh, man. Well, then I won't talk about how the crocus are actually blooming out here on the West Coast. And you've got a beautiful blue sky. And I won't talk about those things to you then. Okay? We don't want you to... My
eyes, Steve. Down here on the East Coast, I mean, I welcome it. I saw somebody say on Facebook earlier today that they were sick and tired of all the snow. Can't it just go pass us by? And I'm a summer person too. I like the warmer weather. I like spring and fall really, but down here in Nova Scotia, man, last season we didn't have very much snow, and we ended up with forest fires engulfing a quarter of the province, which is insane for us. So this year I'm praying for all the snow, because it is the snow that makes our ground wet and it keeps the fires at bay. So
and we've had mass water shortage. They're already saying we're going to be short on water. We're going to be short on water, which we already have. Well, I don't know if we have any forests left to burn between the cutting and the burning. I don't think there's much left.
No, and you've got a very large province, right? So, I mean, imagine a quarter of that on fire at the same time. It would be massive, but just the fact that such a large, it was scary for our little province. Like, our little province was covered in smoke, and we're not used to it because we're used to being covered in snow. And and yeah, so it I'm praying that we get this storm hits us decently, and I hope we get a little bit more before the season is over, because it'll help keep our farmers happy, and it'll help keep the fires at bay.
Yeah, we could probably use some too. Actually, we can.
If it's moist, we grow these bad boys all over the place. Mushrooms, which is what our show is really about, not the weather. So Cindy needs to, but we need to grow mushrooms.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm there. I like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I noticed, that you have something I think you would like us to talk about. By I see an extra window down there.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to bring up, in the last couple of weeks, we've talked about the different retreats that are in Mexico. Let me bring this up. Last week we had Miriam on for the Sacred Journey. I'm just going to ask, because I don't know. Can you see my mouse moving on the page?
Yes, I can see you talking.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, perfect. So Miriam has put together the Sacred Journey in Sonora, Mexico from the 14th to the 21st. And Madre Verde has put on a healing retreat of master plants from the 7th to the 11th. Some people, I'm sure, can only afford to go to one, but I tell you, if you can hit them both, this 2 weeks down. Oh man, yeah,
it would be amazing. Yeah,
I'm praying it happens again, because I can't make it happen this time around, and I'm praying it can happen again. And
it is going to happen again. I have faith, but yeah, we've got the Master Plant Healing Retreat at Madre Verde in Puerto Morales. Yeah. Did I say that right?
Yep, Puerto Morales. Oh, if you're down there, it's Puerto Morales.
Okay, thank you. And this is happening March 7th to 11th, 2024. And if you're down there, well, you might as well just go vacation and tourist for a couple of days, and then go to the Sacred Journey, which is in Sonora, Mexico. The really cool thing about this Sacred Journey, it is the first one, which I have been told is, with these things, the first one's usually the one that's really, really epic, and we're going to be really, really sorry that we can't make it. So this is the first Sacred Journey in Sonora, Mexico. It is happening in March 14th to 21st, which is going to include Bufo alvarius or connecting with ayahuasca. You get a choice of those two medicines. There's also going to be hape, cacao ceremonies. There will be somatic dancing. There will be sweat tents. Sweat lodges. There's going to be so much sacred medicine happening in this place. And for either of them, you can get a hold of Lisa, and her email is up there on the screen.
LisaRuckaber@gmail.com.
Yeah, so you can reach out to Lisa. She is involved in both. So if you want to go to one, or if you want to go to both, she would be the right person to contact and help get you there. She even knows, from what I've been told, I've never had to deal with her on this level, but apparently she can even talk you through or help you with finding a good flight, because she's really good at that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Saved me lots of bucks. And that's important.
Yeah, it is. It is, because healing isn't cheap. So every penny that you can save, whether it be with flights or lodging or anything, is definitely worth saving. So get a hold of Lisa. She can help you get into one or both of these epic healing journeys.
Oh,
I'm sorry to take that over, Steve. I
wanted to make the first one, but
yeah.
Okay. Now we get to talk about our special guest.
Okay, yeah, we gotta be good, because this isn't just a guest. It's the boss.
Oh, now you got me scared. I hadn't looked at it that way. I was just going, hey, he's our guest. He's the guy that runs the station that, oh, wow, I guess he is our boss. Okay. Well, anyway, he's our guest, and he's freaking awesome. And he's the one that holds this station that we actually broadcast on. He's been a cannabis activist for many years, and has been in the trenches. I'm going to let him talk about his journey, but he's been in the trenches for a long time. And for me, all I got is thank you. Thank you for providing a platform for people to gather knowledge, speak, you know, put stuff out and get called out if they put it out. You know, you created a great platform for people to interact. And I'm going to say, hey, everybody, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Al Graham.
Well, thank you very much for the very kind words there, Steve. It's nice to hear. Talking about hearing, I'm hearing my dog at the door, Cindy. You know the story.
Oh no, I gotta read the story all by myself.
Oh, you gotta go let the dogs in. Who let the dogs in?
Who let the dogs in? Yeah, she's up there waiting. She's just. I figured. Oh, she's gonna want in just as I go live. That's what she's gone and done. She's scratching at the door, but I'll let her wait for a few minutes. She'll be all right.
Well, if we watch your head go like this and you wander off, we know what's going on. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cindy's seen me do it before.
Oh, excuse me.
For anybody that doesn't understand that reference, I also am a fill-in with the Pace Radio News. I used to be one of the regular reporters, but I took a step away. But I still do all the filling in when the filling in is needed. So when working with Al, you have to get used to the fact that there's probably a couple of times during the broadcast that Al's not going to be there. Got to go let the dog out. And once the dog is out, the dog must come back in.
That's right. Exactly. And, sometimes she'll be out there the whole time. But, yeah, it just works out that way. Just one of those days, right? So, but, as I said, thanks, Steve, for the kind words. And thanks to the two of you for inviting me on to your broadcast here.
Well, we got to suck off somehow.
He tried really hard to say that with a
I hear the words at the same time you do.
Yeah, nobody calls me boss.
So, how long have you been involved in the cannabis activist end of things?
Okay, I got sick with Crohn's disease back in 2003. That's when I was first diagnosed. At that time, I reached out to a lady that I knew by the name of Diane Bruce, who was a cannabis advocate that I had seen in the newspapers. She was fighting for patients and that. And the medical program was just, it was only 3 years old at the time, or 2 years old at the time. So I reached out to her and found out, the information that I needed to get my license and all that. And then once I got all settled in, Di asked me if I would like to attend a treating yourself booth at a home show in Toronto. And I thought, geez, I like talking to people about the cannabis end of things because, I had been using it medicinally for my Crohn's disease, which allowed me not to have to take any opiate drugs as far as any morphine or anything or perks or anything, other than when I was hospitalized. So out of the hospital, just nothing but cannabis. And I would tell people about that. And Di asked me if I wanted to go down to Toronto with her and go into the Treating Yourself booth and stand there and talk to people about cannabis and hand out magazines. So I said, sure, I'll do that. I'm all into that. I want to, let everybody know how the benefit it has been for me. I got to tell everybody, right? And we went down there and talked to piles of people. I couldn't believe the number of people we talked to, and we gave away magazines and some information. And shortly after that experience, I was asked to write about it for Treating Yourself magazine. Prior to writing for Treating Yourself, I had been writing for a off-road 4x4 magazine that I submitted 3 or 4 articles for. So Di knew I had some writing stuff, even though I was only got grade 10 English. I don't have any grade 12 or any college education when it comes to writing. I just write by passion, just from the way what I experienced and what I felt. And so that's what I did with Treating Yourself that first time at the home show. And things just blossomed from there as far as the writing end of things, where I became basically the writer for anything Treating Yourself was involved with or not involved in, because I attended lots of events, and I would write about them. And what I figured was, if I write about them, other people are reading about them. And other people read about them, gives them an idea that, hey, maybe I can do that. And people will look into, doing something in order to make things spread. Like when I first got involved in stuff, and I went down to Niagara Falls for the 420. It was the only 420 that was in Ontario at the time. Everybody would show up down there. 1 year, 4 buses out of Toronto showed up down there, and we would march down Clifton Hill down to the falls, and then slowly but surely, more and more of them expanded here in Ontario. And they went to Toronto. There was Peterborough. There was Oshawa, and some up north, and so they're spread out. So it was good to see. I don't know about me writing about them; it helped to increase the numbers, but it was good to see that the numbers did increase as more people saw what others were doing. And that was the idea behind, right, for me anyways, to write about the advocacy of what we were doing. Prohibition just put out too much crap, and I was upset about the line, and what I had saw and what I had experienced, and so everybody had to know. So I had to tell everybody. Did it through writing.
And you're still telling everybody.
I'm still telling everybody.
Now look at your soapbox.
Yeah. So I ended up writing about 130 articles, 135 articles for Treating Yourself magazine over the years.
Wow.
Yeah. All of it was done through volunteer submission. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write. I wanted to tell everybody what was going on. I wasn't a paid writer. I was just a volunteer writer, staff writer, whatever you want to call it. And spread the word. Did that and got to meet a lot of people over the time, and got to talk to a lot of different people at these shows. We had a guy that come up to us, and he was in a wheelchair, and he said that he couldn't consume cannabis because they had just installed stents for his heart. And it just happens that issue of Treating Yourself magazine had an article in it dealing with heart stents and cannabis. So we were able to give it to him, and he was just happy as could be and excited. Now I never got to talk to him afterwards, but then other people would come up and share their stories. A lot of people talk about would be how either they experienced cannabis as a benefit, or how somebody, a loved one, had felt the benefits. And a lot of people used to talk about, the old people, they're all against cannabis. Well, I'll tell you, at these shows, home shows, health shows that we were participating in, the majority of the time, the people were elderly people. There wasn't the young people that were going to these shows. It was the people who were older. And they like I said, they had stories and they had questions, and we were there to answer them. We even had live plants on the floor, in our booths. We had a vaporizer. We would, on our display, we would have a herbal vaporizer, some magazines, and then we have another setting off the side that had edibles, tinctures, lotions, other examples that we could show people and tell them, hey, it's not just all about smoking. And there was shows that we were even able to use our vaporizer in the booth, and we used it as a way of demonstrating how the difference between smoking and vaporizing, because at that time people didn't know anything about vaporizing. Yeah. So it was a big eye-opening experience, and it was something that I enjoy doing, and I'm still doing it today, getting out there to help educate people, as well as through the broadcast, right? So.
Well, we got to thank you, because not only are you doing it yourself, you've opened up a platform for others that want to do that advocacy as well. And thank you, because you've given us a platform to speak on.
During my time, I ended up, sort of like the magazine. When Treating Yourself ended, I created my own personal magazine that I distributed to stores. When the radio end of things, while with treating yourself, I was at a friend's place along the water, and I was listening to the local radio station, Rock 107 out of Belleville, and the DJ had a segment called the Flower Hour, and at 4:20, him and Jay Blaze would get together and they would talk, and it was usually about the latest movie that Jay Blaze saw. So there had been a Supreme Court victory for cannabis around that time. So I got on the phone and I said, "Hey, we just had this great big victory at the Supreme Court of Canada, and you guys are talking about movies? Like, this is the 420 moment. You're not supposed to be talking about movies. This should be something to do with cannabis, right?" So the DJ says to me, "Call me next week at the same time." It was at that time it was probably 4:45. So I called him, and for the next 2 years after that, I was on terrestrial radio with a segment up to 5 minutes, between 3 and 5 minutes, giving people cannabis news and talking about cannabis. If you go to the PACE, the news, the Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News page at the PACE website, at the bottom, you'll see me in the studio doing the news broadcast, and there's an audio there of it as well.
I'm searching.
Yeah. So for 2 years, I was doing that. For 1 year, Treating Yourself sponsored it, and it was great being able to talk to people. They ended up having a young lady reach out to me, and I got to meet her at the 2010 Treating Yourself Expo. And what she told me at that time, and she brought her dad with her, and told me that I got a phone call and they wanted me to come to the booth. So I went to the booth so I could meet this young lady. And it turns out that they were from Belleville, so they weren't far from where I was living at the time. And what they would do is when I was doing the news, they would get around in a circle, just like the 70s show, and they would sit around and smoke doobies.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was so it was really cool to hear that from her. And just so you know, she's now my daughter-in-law.
Oh, that.
Yeah, exactly. So you just never know what you're going to run into. So with the radio end of things, what I ended up doing when it ended, I got contacted by a fellow by the name of Casper Leach in the U.S. He had a broadcast network called Time for Hemp, and I was a guest with him on one of his broadcasts, and then he just asked me to join him occasionally as a co-host on the show. If he needed his co-host, if his co-host was canceled, then I would go in and fill in. So I worked away with him, just doing the same thing and interviewing all these people from the U.S. It was really cool. And then he offered me my own broadcast, and that was when I started the Pace Radio Show. That would be around it would be 2013, because we're just past the 10-year mark. And so I started the Pace Radio Show. I did it twice a week. I had 4 joint hosts that rotated around, and they got range guests, and I got to meet piles and piles of people and talk to them. It was a great thing, and as you know, I'm continuing to do it today as well. Now, I want to just back up slightly, and that's because partway through all this advocacy stuff that I was doing with the radio and Treating Yourself magazine, I also, for years, 5 years, I spent time on weekends going around to up to 4 different locations around where I lived, Belleville, Peterborough, so on and so forth, going into cafes. And I would go in there and have a movie night. And I'd set up a cannabis educational series. And I would touch on things like science, prohibition, What else? Oh, there was 4 different topics that I would touch on, and I was buying movies, and then turning around and going to these places and projecting them up on a projection screen. I bought a projection screen, brought all my own equipment in there, and when I first started doing it, I was in one of the cafes that only held 25 people, so I had to do 2 of them on a Sunday. So we would put 50 people through the cafe and just do the movies up on the big screen and talk to them all about cannabis. There was times there we took time where we'd have people come up and speak about how cannabis helped them get off of hard drugs as well, dealing with opiates and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really great. Great time. Educated, like I said, piles of people. Those shows in Toronto, we would end up handing out thousands of flyers or folded brochures that we would hand out to people. So it just, one thing just kept evolving from one step to the next step. And when I eventually, as far as the Pace Radio Network, as I eventually left Time for Hemp in the U.S., came up to Canada and was with Al Rapp at 420 Radio. Spent 3 years with Al. Over the time, I developed a few shows, and I thought, well, just, I can just probably, I like to, if I can do something good, I always keep trying to do more. Keep trying to improve it and keep trying to improve it and add. And that's what I did with this, and just eventually created the Pace Radio Network, and everybody that's involved they're people advocating cannabis education. It's not about being a group. It's just about getting people to speak up and say something.
And just before we head to break, I mean, I want to add that you did add in psychedelic medicine to that, and right. That trying to encompass all medicine. It's not just about getting high on psychedelics or cannabis. It's there's some of these medicines that aren't going to give you that psychoactive effect, but we're kind of inclusive of it all now. Yeah.
I was young at one time. We talk about that after the break. But a big influence on me on the legalization or the medicinal value of the psychedelics was Alison Murden, who spent a couple of years with me here as a joint host on the Pace Radio show, and I always hear advocating, always. And me at that time, it was sort of, but it allowed me to see and open my eyes to things, right? And you guys are doing the same thing through your broadcast, opening the eyes to people who have always thought about it being negative, who thought that LSD was something that can help people with mental illness.
Yeah. And on that note, it's break time. Time to check out our sponsors, pay some bills, make our boss happy. You're here with us live on the Mushie Moment on PaceRadio.net, CBG TV, and we'll be right back.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at PaceRadio.net.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Babe, it's spring. Just saw a robin.
Awesome. Let's get our butts to Limestone City Hydroponics. They carry Happy Frog and Ocean Forest soils and lots of promos.
Limestone City Hydroponics carry everything you need to get veggies veggin', from organic fertilizer to cloth grow pots to, well, everything. Visit them today. Don't delay. In-store, free delivery, or curbside. We're here to help. 613-548-0420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from, the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyndonega.
We have two lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back to the Mushy Moment, streaming live to you here at paceradio.net and CBG TV. We're here with my awesome co-host Cindy and our awesome guest, Al.
Well, just to update you, Cindy, that audio that I talked about in the picture, it's on the Reefer Reporter's webpage.
Well, I see that's an old name.
Sure is, isn't it? It's still there. It's still on the website. It's just hidden.
I just can't find it. Yeah, I can't even find Reefer Reporters.
Yeah, I went looking for it as well. I tried to, because I know the website address that I had for it.
paceonline.ca, Reefer Reporters. This podcast is unavailable. Well, I know, but
okay, I know what happened. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it's on the Reefer Reporters.
I got it.
Do you?
I found it. I'm all excited. Look.
Oh.
Okay. Educate, medicate, do not incarcerate. So if I can get back here, I can add this to stage.
Oh yeah, there I am. Yeah. And I still have that. I still say that after every broadcast.
You do.
Yeah.
And fling a bowl and have a ball. I'm gonna get high.
Did you ever meet that reefer man?
No, I never met the guy. Tell me about it.
Oh, no, you're not kidding me now, are you?
The Reefer Reporter, Wendell Grant on Rock 107.
Well, welcome to the studio, Wendell.
Hello, Diesel.
It's always nice to have you actually in here, because usually I'm just talking to you on the telephone, and how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good today.
All right, what are we talking about today?
Today I got a few little things here. I got some local news and some rally news.
Mm-hmm.
The local news has to do with Brighton. In the past, I have reported on a licensed medicinal patient that has been robbed twice for the 35 plants.
Yeah.
According to the Brighton paper, an 18-year-old Quinte West resident has pleaded guilty to break and enter. But I've noticed that there's no charges for the possession of the plants, even though he was caught on video.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
it's a little
odd.
strange.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not going to play the whole thing. There's 3 minutes there, 3.5 minutes. But that was Al.
That was me. That's right. Yeah. Wendell Grant. The AL at the end of Wendell was for my Al, and the Grant was the GRA for the Graham, and the Grant was also because I was going through so many medical appointments at the time doing my Crohn's disease. They would ask me my name, and every time I said Graham, they would say Grant. So I figured, why not? You know,
Why not?
And Wendell was actually a nickname that I received when I was younger, when I was playing hockey with the guys from work, because I couldn't skate very well and I would bump into people. And I wore number 17 on my shirt, right? So
Yeah. They would be comparing you to Wendell Clark, would they?
Yeah. No, never. I never fought. Though. Yeah, that was the only thing. So, but so yeah, when the psychedelics were when we're going to the break there, you had mentioned about the addition of the psychedelics, and yeah, it was something as Allison pounded in and always talked about. You know, there was benefits behind it. And then with you and others that were on the network that were involved in the psychedelic end of things, you know, I had no problem with adding it. There was medicinal benefits that were being released you were finding it in the newspapers, reports here and there, and just like cannabis, this is stuff that's been stigmatized for years. And always been looked at as something with no benefit and, you know, no medical benefit whatsoever. And now it's the complete opposite. I'm seeing, it looks like when we do the news, there's times where I believe the psychedelic medicines are going to move ahead of the cannabis issue.
Oh, yeah.
I think they will, because the amount of trauma that's out there and the amount of trauma that those medicines can work on, it'll be a massive shift.
Yeah.
I can remember, like, I was with the network probably about 6 months when you finally decided to I mean, and I can remember like the excitement, like just I can put a story in with every, like, you know, out of every 10. Yeah. I was so excited. It was the biggest deal. Something like, you've taken a lot of steps over the years, and it's really heartwarming to know that Allison kind of kicked off that thought. She is an amazing lady.
She was the one that started that. Like you said, we started with only one psychedelic story in the news, and now it's in the title. We went from the Reefer Reporters to psychedelic and cannabis educational news, and the news on there's lots of studies and reports and educational stuff. So it all goes in together.
It's actually amazing how much published information there is on it. Yeah, you know, I run into people and they talk about mushrooms and they give me the blow off thing, and and a lot of people only speak money. So if they only speak money, then I just do a search for the stocks and the estimated amount of money over the next 5 years. And then when it shows them that it's billions and billions of dollars, their mouth drops.
Yeah.
You know, and it's on the same websites that they're looking at for, should I buy gold today? You know, maybe you might want to look into some of those psychedelic companies that are coming in. They are going to change. As long as it truly gets used in the medical field for healing and doesn't get bastardized and used just for medicating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, because there's so many people who benefited from it. And it's
they've changed my life.
Yeah, it changed your life. It's changed other people's lives as well. It's just, it just made me go. It makes me go wow, and you know, you never have any problems finding any psychedelic news when it comes to doing the shows.
I now try to curb like my half, because I mean I could have my half all psychedelic in a heartbeat without even really working very hard at it. So I work very hard at including it.
The countries around the world, you know, it's not just you know, in the U.S. where it seems to be coming up in several states. You know, even here in Canada, we got the Senate that says that we need to study psychedelics for veterans.
Yes.
Never mind leaving our own country and seeing it happening in other places.
Yeah. Well, I know they're life changing. I'm involved with enough people watching their lives change, and it changed mine. Like, nobody can say it doesn't. It might not work for everybody, but it'll work for a good portion.
Yep.
And
I say the same thing about cannabis to patients. There's no, it doesn't work for everybody. Just like everybody can't do cheeseburgers. Everybody can't take cannabis or anything along that line. So.
No, I think it definitely needs to be stepped up more in the medical world. They need to start working with oil, the full spectrum cannabis oils, and helping people off of addiction utilizing those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you've had it in your circle as well as my circle, Cindy's circle, friends that have used cannabis oil to get off of opiates. And it's not utilized in the community.
Issue 11 of Treating Yourself magazine. I co-wrote an article with a lady, and I'm just trying to think of what the title of her article was. But she was a person who injected heroin. She was a heroin addict, and she was able to eventually beat that. She went in a step down to the methadone end of things, settled some stuff down through that phase of her life, and then she used cannabis in order to get off of methadone. And because she was able to do that, now her family is all back with her. I'm seeing pictures of her online with her grandchildren. I'm seeing, and I know during a time where I spent a lot of time with her doing advocacy work, whether it was at a show with Treating Yourself, or when we went to the hospital in Toronto and talked to a bunch of doctors, we sat around the table and we talked about how cannabis can help people with opiate issues. So it really helped to change your life completely around.
I'm hoping to actually do that here in Vancouver. I've got a gentleman setting me up to, hopefully he's setting me up to meet with one of the new doctors that's looking at new methods of dealing with the opiate addiction. And I've been asked if I thought that cannabis oil would help in that world. And it's yes. The answer is yes. So it's an area that needs to be opened up.
On a bigger scale of that, you look at the U.S. where they've legalized medical cannabis in those states, their opiate uses have gone down. Can you just imagine if they hadn't? How would the situation be now? There's lots of people now that are, the opioid epidemic going on, and unfortunately, people dying.
Well, I know what is it? It's Neil Magnuson and Rosie with the cannabis substitution program out here. Are helping a lot of the addicts with substituting in cannabis aspects of stuff, and
for sure.
And they're advocates because it worked for them.
Correct. And if people know that they have a choice, that was the thing back when I had made my decision back in 2003. If people knew that they had a choice to take opiate drugs or cannabis, some people may take that choice of taking the cannabis and would, maybe never have a problem.
Yep, that is true. That is true.
So then the more people who speak up, it's all about speak up, be loud, right?
Well, I was speaking up last night about drugs. I went to a meeting at the City Hall in Richmond here on a safe consumption site. And I've been getting some texts. We're sitting here. Apparently, I'm in the news. Hopefully, it'll be good. But there was a lot of people there to protest the safe consumption site. And the problem is it's a lack of education. It's a mass batch of stigmatizing, and somebody went on a fear mongering play, because a lot of people just showed up and they think that it's a place where they go to get free drugs. No, they bring the drugs in from the street. They can get them tested. Hey, are these going to kill me?
Right.
Then they can use them. If they drop, there's a trained professional there to deal with it. And then there's people there. If they decide they'd like to look at aspects of recovery, there's people there that can help them in that. Now, I know the help there is lacking. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not fooled. I know that it's lacking. But it's a spark of hope, and it's a start. And what better place than putting it at the hospital? But these people walked around, and it was such a weird dichotomy to listen to, because they're talking about, well, there's addicts here, and they broke into my parking lot, and they damaged this, and they did this. It's like, well, you've just said they're already here in Richmond, and they're already using. So wouldn't it be better that they're not using in your parking garage, and they're using it as safe consumption site by a hospital? But it was unreal. I sat there while there was a lady in front of I wasn't in the room. There was way too many people, but I was out watching it on a TV in another room with another probably 100 people. And there was a lady in there talking about having lost her son. And some dickhead in the middle of the crowd said, "Let him die."
I see that online.
It's brutal. I see that online is what I said to him earlier too. They say that and so much more, and it's
the trolls are brutal. So I had to go in and speak because the addiction is in my family, and I deal with addicts and addiction every day.
I spent I don't know, I wasn't with them very long, probably 4 months, 5 months, with the injection drug task force in Belleville. And they were getting some grant money and stuff to deal with education and go around and pick up needles and stuff to help clean up the community. And talking about Belleville, last week, within an hour, 13 people OD'd on the street.
Oh, it's brutal. This stuff is too toxic.
One guy described watching 5 bodies go down within 5 minutes right in front of him.
Yeah.
That's the trank the trank drugs,
benzos and trank stuff that's being mixed
the
in
elephant
with
stuff or whatever.
It started with an XY, and I think it's the same one that we've seen pop up out where Steve is, and it just showed up here a couple of days ago. They found it in Quebec, so it's
so there's carfentanil, there's fentanyl. They blend those with tranquilizers, or they blend those with benzos, or benzos and tranks, and it's killing people real fast. That was the one thing, as where I stand on it. Yes, we need more money spent on recovery. We need way more spent on education in the schools, both on gangs and drugs and how they make, they've got a game and it works. Educate the kids on the game, because saying drugs are bad, drugs don't work. It's like, woo. I had people yelling at me, like yelling in my face, "Tell them to stop." It's been 10 fucking years. You think I haven't said that?
Yeah, exactly. The good news that I saw yesterday on the Belleville end is I see that the mayor has approached the different levels of government, the provincial government, the federal government, looking for, I believe, about $2 million. In order to set up a center, so that this can be dealt with. Do something. Don't let them just.
What part of the problem is? They don't know what to do, because everything that's in place has been in place for heroin being the hardest drug. Fentanyl is 100 times stronger. Carfentanil is 1,000 times stronger. We actually don't have anything in place to properly deal with this. And everybody's so busy scrambling and running and throwing money here and throwing money there and pocketing money here and pocketing money there that, you know, we need to address it as this has never been met by our society ever. And we need to look at it from a new point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
exactly.
And honestly, that point is psychedelics. Honestly.
And you know, everybody thinks of, you know, like when it comes to cannabis, thinking of that guy in the back alley, right? And the same thing comes with the people on the street. They think of, you know, there's a negative view on them, and you get people, like we said, you know, just let them die instead of giving them help, giving them a hand, giving people a hand up. You know, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, you know, family relative. Maybe they're in a situation because they're dealing with some trauma from when in their younger days, or maybe while they went to war for your country.
Yep.
You just never
yeah,
know.
95%. I would say at least 95% of what I've seen when I'm in that world is people that are dealing with trauma or mental health, or both.
Yeah.
Well, not like trauma isn't a form of mental health in its own self, but
yeah. And you know, shunning people that are you know, they're sick, ill, however you want to look at it, isn't the solution. You know, I've had some conversations with some people, you know, talking about the safe supply. They relate it back to the cannabis issue with everybody with all their big gardens, and all this extra cannabis was being produced, and people were selling it left and right as far as the patients. And you know, now people are saying the same thing about the safe supply, that's being abused, and that should be shut down. Well, is there maybe a way, some adjustments that could be done in order to keep that safe supply to those people? Like, there, you know, some people end up.
I can actually speak on this, you know.
What's
the
that?
part of the problem is the safe supply is something that they call dillies, and they're giving the dillies to fentanyl addicts.
Yeah.
The fentanyl addicts are selling the dillies because the dillies don't get them diddly squat form of high, and they'll still go into withdrawals. So they go and sell the dillies and go buy the fentanyl. But fentanyl is a patented drug. They have a slow release patch. Why are we not giving fentanyl addicts the slow release patch, and then through that working them into a place of recovery?
Yeah.
But no, hey, let's give them dillies. Let's give them methadone. Let's give it. It's our system is designed around something completely different than what we're dealing with, and we need to revamp the whole.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why they don't actually use fentanyl patches for fentanyl addicts. They make them at 25, 50, 75, and 100 milligram patches. They're slow release. You put one on, it's a 24-hour thing. Before I knew what fentanyl was, a friend of mine was on those patches. He had a broken neck. You know, but if they have them and they're actually pharmaceutical, and he got his from the pharmacist, he got his prescription to go get them, why are they not using those? Here's your stuff. Here's your dillies. Bye. Here's your methadone. Here's your dillies. Bye.
Yeah, and if the substitution isn't as effective as the actual drug, then that's what's going to happen. People are going to move on and try to get what they really need, right? So,
yeah, I kind of went, why wouldn't we start them if they're real high users?
Exactly.
Use a 100 patch and work them down to a 75 patch, work them down to a 50 patch, work them down to a 25 patch. Hey, then step them into some cannabis oil, and then we can work them right out of the whole game.
Right. Yeah. You know, they give us all types of other stuff. Like I was on some of the steroids that I was on. That you know, that's what they were talking about, having to wean me off of them. Or the prednisone that I was on. You know, you can't just quit that. You have to be weaned off of it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's no different, you know, than someone who's addicted to opiates. You got to, you know, wean them off of it, and like you say, you get them to that cannabis oil stage, and you know, get their life changed.
And then get them mental health and trauma help.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe be like my friend that's out now, out working a full-time job and spending time with family.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
turn
why
into
wouldn't
people
we
like
want?
us that are out there helping people.
Why wouldn't we want? Why wouldn't we want to help? Each other, and that's what it's all about. It's not about having but just letting people die. Some people, oh, it's just a population control. No, people are actually started
One
out
guy
giving
last night said there's only 26 deaths in Richmond.
only.
Oh my God.
Only.
What?
That's why I got triggered last night. I know they got some footage of me yelling at some people because that kind of behavior, I'm sorry, I still can't hold myself.
I understand your trigger, and I just, before we're done the show, I just want to speak up and say how proud I am of you for what you did last night. It took a lot of courage to get up and do that.
Yeah.
And as your friend and co-host, I am certainly proud of you.
Ah, thank you.
There you go, Steve. Yeah, it's why do you don't celebrate people's deaths that way? It's just not. No, it's crazy.
No, we got some wrong programs. If people are thinking that way, then we've got some wrong programs.
That's more of that education, more of that stigma that's out there, and even though cannabis has been legal in our country for 5 years, there's still stigma out there, and it's all this anti-drug stuff is embedded in people for as far as the cannabis and almost 100 years, and it's going to take more than 5 years to get it out, to get rid of it. It's going to take basically the shifting of the people. There'll be people now, obviously, that are born with cannabis being illegal, and they won't know any different.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. To them, what do you mean it was illegal?
It'll be interesting. What'll be interesting is 20 years from now, people talking about viewing all of the stuff that we all went through to make it legal. Correct. Because by then the stigma will all be gone, and they'll be viewing with different eyes going, really? They did that over a plant? All of that was over this plant that helps people?
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I believe would happen. If I could come back in 100 years, I'd love to see what how things have changed, just to see how things how things have developed. And like I mentioned, the cannabis law reform. Even though cannabis is legal, we gotta keep fighting in order to make things better when it comes to that. Like even look how long alcohol has been legal, but yet it's only been a couple of years maybe. We've had some in our province, some stores like grocery stores with alcohol in it, and the present government has announced that come 2026 we're going to have alcohol in convenience stores, just like they do in other places. So it's gonna take a long time. It's not going to be a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year thing. It's going to take an evolution time.
And it's the same with craft alcohol as well. It took a long time to get there.
Yep.
And I think cannabis is moving a lot faster on that one.
On the craft end, yeah.
The government is still controlling it all, but that's another step yet to take too. But we are seeing some farm gates and some crafts popping up in the legal world.
Yeah, well, look in Alberta, they're going to allow cannabis to be sold at festivals.
Yep.
That are over 19 and up. Festivals, trade shows to be allowed to be sold there. So that's just another little chip out of prohibition of that province. Other provinces will see it, and hopefully they'll expand. Like when we were doing the shows of treating yourself, there were some where they had people where it could actually get a sample of some wine. They just had to make a donation, and that money went towards some charity somewhere.
Yep.
With cannabis, you don't need to light up a joint there on the showroom floor in order to, there's other options that people could be giving away along the same line as a drink. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, edibles. And Alberta is also going to, they're not just going to sell it at these places. They're going to have lounges at these places as well, right?
Yeah.
So, you can buy your joint and then go smoke it, like the same as a beer tent. They're going to have a cannabis tent.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It is cool. Like I know, I'm involved with the Can Expo in Toronto, and they have a outdoor consumption spot, and they have sounds like they've got a pretty good setup that they're going to have out there. I can't get into too much, but yeah, it's more people, being that. And to get those outdoor consumption places at these events is that they have to be approved. They have to be approved through the AGCO, I think what it is, to get approvals to do all that stuff. So and back in my day of treating yourself, people would come up to us and ask us, "Got any free samples?" And I would say, yeah, here's a free sample of a magazine. lots of buds in there.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, now if you're you got a can sell license, and depending on the show that you're going to, there's other criteria that would have to be met, but there are sampling for the bud tenders. Right, and there's documentation that they have to have signed and all that while they're there. I've seen it at the kind Winter Fair a year ago. I saw these people with taking these papers out of their pockets, and I was wondering what's going on. And so I watched for a bit to see what was happening, and that's what was happening. Is that the bud tenders were getting samples from any of the retailers or producers or whatever were at the show. So we're getting there. We just need to open that up for everybody, not just the bud tenders.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So see what happens. It's just going to take time.
And the spreading of information.
That's right. I see that. I see the time. I'm looking at that time. I thought it might be.
This is where I'm supposed to say, well, it's that time again. Thank you for joining us here on the Mushie Moment with my co-host Cindy, myself, and our special guest, and boss, Al. We're proud to be coming to you live from paceradio.net, cbgtv.com, and we'll see you next week with more exciting guests, healing information, and much love.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, Al.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.